Justin, how you doing? Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Where you calling in from?
Calling in from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay, okay. I haven't made it out to New Mexico, but
Right on.
what's
It's
your favorite part
beautiful.
of being out there?
I actually just moved out here with my wife and family. She's got family out here, but we're from Chicago originally.
Mm,
But man, it's beautiful. Like being close to the mountains. The skies are huge. It's really nice. Like a little bit more down tempo compared to Chicago.
from the big city to the small town vibe.
Right, right.
Okay, okay. Yeah, sometimes you got to tone it down. You got the family you raising.
Yes,
You're
exactly.
not worried about the other stuff, man. You got the important things right under the house with you.
Yep, yep.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. What's up, Nathaniel? How you doing? All right. So today is February 28th, 2022, last day of Black History Month. Um, we made a post today about Fannie Lou Hamer on the page. Fannie Lou Hamer, who we will be reading about more of in this book, Collective Courage. I see you got your book. Um, I see you got your books, Justin. That's what's up, man. He came in ready, like, look, first day. All right. Well, look, Fannie Lou Hamer, she was important because she did a lot of work spreading the word about collective work. She was ahead of some organizations, as well as she spawned some movements. So one of the things that we highlighted was that she started what she called a pig bank, where pigs were given to a family. That family took care of the pigs until the pigs had babies, then gave those babies, or however they worked it out, whether they gave some adults and some babies away to some other family, and they did the same thing. Hence, this is during a time when food was very, it wasn't as plentiful for poor people. Even if you were growing the food, and so this allowed folks to eat. Now I know some of us are vegan, pescatarian, what have you. At least I am. I'm pescatarian. I'm largely vegan, so I don't eat pork, right? But at the same time, at the end of the day, surviving is surviving, and folks had to do what they had to do, and that's they understood meat to be something that could sustain them. So it's not really about what they chose to eat as much as that they did it in that way. They chose to provide a way for people to eat, um, and it depended on paying it forward. It wasn't about paying the person that gave you the pigs back. They already got pigs. Find someone else that don't have pigs so they can have some food. And so that thinking, uh, man, if you could apply that to, seeds grow. You can give seeds to someone and they can start growing something. So that it can apply to any dietary lifestyle you want to lead. But the point is, she was ahead of her time in that sense, or right on time. But in the sense that we still have yet to practice these practices in a consistent way, in my opinion. So go check out that post, and like I said, we'll be learning more about her. I wanted to also, for folks that have their books, go ahead and turn to 60 and 63. But I wanted to read something from Jackson Rising, um, which is another book that is very important to take a moment to look through when you have a chance. I like to read some of this book to give another perspective, because we learn about a wide variety of black collectives and cooperatives, and we go into them sometimes deeper than others. This book is about a particular one, which is Cooperation Jackson in Mississippi, and Jackson, Mississippi to be specific. And they they had they wrote out their whole experience in their former years, and some of their wins, their losses, and their inspiration behind what they did, who was involved. It's a complete look at the work that they put in. So I like to go into this book to just give more perspective on this cooperative thought that we're doing together, cooperative thinking that we're doing together. Um, there we go. All right, so it says, so what I wanted to highlight in this part of Jackson Rising was that, they Cooperation Jackson had not only the idea to organize in their people assemblies, and then also speak to power, speak to the political system, contribute to the political system in the sense of we know what we want, so let's speak with conviction to the political power to establish, a new power dynamic. Instead of politicians saying that they work for us and doing what they want, no, let's hold them accountable. Not only did they do those things, they also focused on curating community projects that were in alignment with what they were doing. What I mean by that was they had projects that they started and or supported that were in alignment. So um, one of the things that they recognized that they were in the black belt, meaning an area where there's a lot of agrarian workers who were black, poor working class. And so their aim in doing all of this was to organize these workers into associations and unions to provide them with a collective voice and power and improve their standard of living. So there are projects that they participated in, like the Amandala Education Project, which is a youth project to educate young people about cooperatives. Take Back the Land campaign, which was a way for them to link farmers and local land stewards together to bring land back to the commons, meaning lessen the privatization of land, which is a big thing in America, right? Because we're a capitalist country, and that depends on you owning something. So it is in opposition to that in a degree, but also we understand common held areas like parks and rivers, and houses that are historical monuments. These are we have examples of this. So it is not in total opposition to capitalism. And remember, we live in a capitalistic country that has socialistic institutions, like welfare and social security, these different things. So we are in a very interesting political system that is not purely one way, and then we also have other influences that muddy that up, like corporatism, which we'll get into now in this reading, right? I want to move into because this opening quote had some words that I wanted to break down a little bit. So I'll read that first quote on page 60. Even rural communities that lack the almost total isolation of the sea islands possessed a strong commitment to corporatism and a concomitant scorn for the hoarding of private possessions. So I want to stop right there. I was like, what is concomitant? I hadn't really heard of that word before, right? So I had to look it up. It's okay to look up words, you know what I'm saying? We grown, but you should still own a dictionary. Naturally occurring, concomitant, naturally occurring or follows something else. So what does that mean? Example: pain and illness. If you're sick, you're probably feeling pain. If you're feeling pain, you're probably sick. You know what I'm saying? They go together. Water and wet. You know what I mean? Like these are things that they just go together. Um, some would say macaroni and cheese and black eyed peas, depending on what house you come from, they come together. So so
I
let's
just said
rewind
rice
this
and
back.
beans.
What I heard beans. What in
Rice
beans?
and beans.
Rice and beans. That was even that's a worldwide one right there. You know what I'm saying? No matter what culture you in, you know about some rice and beans. So yes. Um, Even let's run this back. Even rural communities that lack the almost total isolation of the sea islands possess a strong commitment to corporatism. So I actually had a misunderstanding of that word. Corporatism I thought that was like, when a corporate organization takes over and they own everything, right? That's kind of right, but overall it's wrong. Basically, what corporatism is the prioritization of the group over the individual, right? So that can work out both ways. It could be a big corporation taking over, owning, buying everything up, conglomerates, right? Because they are operating under the guise that we are moving as this corporation. It's even if they have a CEO, it's not the CEO that's bought that. It's owned by the corporation. Now we know behind closed doors, money gets moved and does what it does, but essentially it is the corporation that owns it. But a corporation isn't the end all be all of corporatism. Uh, uh, Collectives and cooperatives participate in corporatism. You know what I mean? And in this quote, they're talking about rural communities participating or having a strong commitment to that, right? So they possess a strong commitment to corporatism and a concomitant scorn for the hoarding of private possessions, right? So not only did they prioritize the group over the individual, they also were in opposition to owning things privately. And let's see how deep they go in the next sentence. It is clear that these patterns of behavior were determined as much by economic necessity as by cultural choice, right? So they recognize that it worked for our pockets, but also this kind of feels like this is the way we should go, and this is the culture that we want to push. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all probably heard the term pushing P, right? Like that's pushing a lifestyle, that's pushing a way of doing things that's seen as respectable versus something that's not respectable, right? And people have their own subjective things about it, right? It's a rap term for those that don't know. But in this instance, they pushing C, they pushing collectivism. You know what I mean? And they realized that it was better for their structure, their cultural structure, as well as for their pockets, right? And let's keep going. It says if black household members pooled their energies to make a good crop, and if communities collectively provided for their own welfare, then poverty and oppression ruled out most of the alternative strategies. Individualism was a luxury that sharecroppers simply could not afford, right? So they understood that they had to work together in order to survive and thrive. And any hoarding was not good for the collective. Um, how do we feel about that? That was a lot. Do we have any thoughts that got spawned from that quote? It's all good. All right, let's keep going. Um, Most importantly, oh excuse me. Let's move over to 61 under mutual insurance companies. Some of the successful mutual aid societies developed into companies where when they formalized as businesses. I'm sorry, let me read that one more time. Some of the successful mutual aid societies developed into insurance companies when they formalized as businesses. As some societies became more sophisticated and substituted a board of directors for general member control, they became insurance companies. In the 1880s, many blacks had joined white insurance companies but discovered that they received fewer monetary benefits for the same service, even though they paid the same premium. This inspired blacks to establish their own insurance companies that would not defraud or discriminate against African American clients. Many southern states then passed laws protecting white insurance companies. Oh, wow. So, this is another example of um, necessity calling for a response, and that response causing another response, right? We have the necessity for insurance by black communities, I hope everybody in this call has some life insurance. Very important. Go get you some. Um, it's good for yourself, good for your family. So if we need life insurance and there's not many options, we have to go to this insurance company that's, things back then was driven by locality, I would imagine. So maybe they were the only option in town, and so they thrived off of that, and their customer base was co-ed, or excuse me, multiracial. But it was the whites that were favored in that scheme, the white customers, and so the black customers went and responded with their own insurance company, which had the government respond with protecting those same white insurance companies that were against their own customer base, right? Um, and so I think that's another form of corporatism, right? You kind of have two entities, or three entities, if you will, but two of them belonging to the same group. One group being the blacks who need insurance, and then you have on the other side the white insurance companies, and then you have the government which chooses sides. You know what I'm saying? And I would say that is because there was a relationship between those. Those in power politically and those in power monetarily. And you know, I, this book doesn't necessarily go into it, but as I've learned about that time in America, it benefited whites in power to move those whites who didn't have power into their sphere. Um, of whiteness. White is an interesting thing. White, black, these are terms that we use, but we know humanity goes much deeper than that. My skin isn't black, it's brown, but I identify as black, right? But politically, um, but it's politics. It's not the end all be all. So white is a political term that is being used. Um, and but it's actually classism that plays a bigger part than skin color. And so those up top is like we have to make division amongst the lower rings of society. And I don't mean lower in terms of importance, but lower in terms of monetary value. And so that means that you have the government, which I would say is top tier in the political power and some of the monetary power, uh, bowing or giving abundance to another part of the politically and economically rich, and being a disservice to the black constituents. So we have to understand like that was divide and conquer at play, because at the end of the day, like if I knew about a life insurance company doing something like that, right, white or black, I just would put myself in a human position. I'd be like, I don't know if I even like that company. Like, you're an insurance company, but you're denying folks, or you're doing suspicious things. How do I know you're not playing with my money? You know what I'm saying? But that's how I would look at it, right? Just as like a customer who wants quality, and I do have morals, as many of you do, right? So I feel like this was an example of immorality playing in a sense of divide and conquer. Z, you had your hand up.
Oh yeah, man. Man. I was trying to lie. I had a client. I had to hop on. I kind of forgot about the meeting, but what did I miss? Can y'all catch me up right quick?
Oh, okay, yeah. We're talking about um, companies discriminating against blacks for the sake of divide and conquer and making it easier
Yeah.
to oppress the lower class.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
had kind
So,
of read along when I woke up this morning, so I ain't too far. I've been in the head of the game, because I've been like reading on my own pace, and I'll just, if I'm in the group with y'all, go back and reread stuff and just study it. So
it's all
I'm
good.
pretty much tasked. I just, I missed a few minutes. I didn't, I want to make sure I wasn't missing nothing too important.
Oh, it's all love. It's all love. What's up,
That's it.
Nathaniel? You got your hand up
All right,
too?
cool.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you for responding to me. I heard you in the background earlier talking about the white class superiority thing, and I just wanted to comment on that. And had a couple of questions too. If that basically, when you were talking about how companies work in the background to help, support white class superiority and discriminate against, Black people, it made me think about an incident that happened recently, and you said how the government supports the people who support white class superiority. It made me think about an incident that happened with did you guys see that video where the police officers arrested the black guy, the black kid that was fighting the white
Mm-hmm.
boy? Yeah, I
I
don't
did
know
see that.
the video, but they immediately ran to him, to the black kid. So that made me, force what you said about the white class superiority. And then also my question, if it happened then and it's still happening now, how do we overcome this? Like, what's the plan for it?
Okay. Well, one thing I would suggest, and I'll open it up. I'll pass it to Kyle after. I would say that we have to be consistent with what we require and what we agree upon as a community that we want. Um, yeah, like right. Let's get our list of demands um, that we want, and so whether we get it or not, folks understand what we want and how we moving, um, and we're clear. And then whether they give it to us, we still gonna get it, because we organize and we are clear about what we want. But if we are scattered, then it's easily dismissible. Uh, you want to say something, Kyle? I saw your hand was up.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to piggyback off that too. Basically, I say organization because if we're clear-minded and knowing what we want, then we can get that. And that also plays a part into us knowing where the resources come from and having to jump into that game, which would be politically. So you have to put people in position that can collect bigger resources than a community or a city or a state. And I mean, as long as we are organized, then we could put certain people in political power. And that's just a form of doing that. Besides, Black folks trying to gain their own ownership of land and ownership of basically everything that they would need. So I think it comes to organization, ownership, and political power.
Mm. What would you say? You said ownership. What was the first one you said?
Organization, ownership, and political power.
Oh, that's a powerful three. Um, I'm gonna put that in the chat. Organization, um, political power, and you said one more: organization, political power, and Cal. You said organization, political power, and what's the other one?
Hello.
Yeah.
So, organization. We need to be organized on what we would like to know. We need to have put people in political. What was the third one I said? I just said it.
Was it ownership? I remember
Ownership.
ownership.
Yes.
Yeah.
OOP.
Okay. And then Natalie said exit capitalism. I would agree. I would agree. We have to move away from capitalism as a default ideology and strategy. I think that capitalism has its pros and cons. I think the cons are very, very, very big, and the pros can be refashioned in a way that is, complementary with what we want to create in the future, right? Like competition, I think is an interesting thing, right? Because you have people, the competition created opportunity, right? Because these white uh, insurance companies created a void where they weren't treating their black customers right. Somebody was able to come in and say, "Oh, okay, well, look, I'm gonna treat us right because I'm us." You know what I'm saying? And so that is competition, and that is a tenet of capitalism, and I think that's something that can be uh, isolated and moved over. But I think just the ownership idea, like I own this, I'm here, and domination of the land and everything natural. Like I feel like that's extreme, and that's where capitalism has led a lot of the time, and I don't rock with that. Um, so yeah, this was a deep part. Like that first quote, I feel like just held so much weight. I think we should strive for more corporatism amongst ourselves. Natalie says patriarchy emerges from scarcity, functions in separation, and results in powerlessness. To move towards liberation, we need to move toward cooperation, increasing choice, and engaging in regenerative practice. Ooh, that's deep. Regenerative practices, right? Like it's not about, like Fannie Lou Hamer, pay it forward. It's not about, just taking and being, oh, okay, I got it. I'm cool. Like keep it moving. Like, let your cup overflow. I wanted to read that one more time just to make sure I got it. So patriarchy emerges from scarcity, functions in separation, and results in powerlessness. To move towards liberation, we need to move toward cooperation, increasing choice, and engaging in regenerative practices. Yes, definitely. We need to remove ourselves from scarcity as much as possible. And I think it starts in the mind and interpersonal connections, like how we speak to each other and how we speak to ourselves. Um, you are abundant. You have abundance. You are abundance. Like that is not just a corny affirmation. I think you really can be conditioned to think how you want to think, and you can be conditioned to think how you shouldn't be thinking or you don't want to think. It happens all the time. Advertisements are all psychology, and they play on us all the time. And culture, we hypnotize ourselves. We put certain things on top as a priority, and then that shifts culture a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We put money over lives, and then that shifts how we deal with each other, right? So if we draw the line in how we deal with each other and how we think, then on a micro, then on the macro, I think things can shift. Of course, easier said than done, but we are all change makers in this group right now. So I have, there's 6 degrees of separation, so we are connected to the whole world. So that's what I'm saying. We are abundance. So thank y'all for all of y'all insights. Man, y'all hella smart. Y'all hella smart. I appreciate y'all and all of y'all inputs. So I appreciate what we've been building. We'll be back tomorrow. And yeah, any last words for my folks?
Oh man, nothing but beauty in life, man. Every time I listen, tap in, I get inspired. I grow like a sponge.
Mm,
It goes up from there.
mm.
Thank you, brother, man, for your wise words. I appreciate it.
Man. All right, y'all. Thank you. And we'll be back tomorrow. Same black time, same black channel. We out.
Adios.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Adios. Yeah, like about it.